Reagan economist Dr. Arthur Laffer claims President Joe Biden is attempting to buy the election with his 2025 budget proposal. Here's One America's Daniel Baldwin with more.
We're speaking with Dr. Arthur Laffer, Reagan economist. Sir, President Biden, he unveiled a budget proposal of more than $7 trillion for 2025 that figures to really be a cornerstone of his re-election campaign, looking to contrast his own economic policies with those of former President Donald Trump. House Republican leaders, meanwhile, said in a statement that, quote, the price tag of President Biden's proposed budget is yet another glaring reminder of this administration's insatiable appetite for reckless spending and the Democrats' disregard for fiscal responsibility. You have a plethora of experience going all the way back to the Nixon White House, sir. How did you perceive the proposed budget from Biden?
Well, it shows me exactly what you said, is that he considers this a political tool trying to buy off different segments of society. And he assumes that somehow if I buy off all the people who have student loans, that no one will have to pay. They won't notice it. It's just debt financing. This is modern monetary theory at its worst. And it's not true. I mean, as you can see, the performance of the economy is the price we're paying. And in addition to that, total debt is increasing quite substantially in the society. And all of that works together to create a very bad economy. And, you know, he's telling us basically that he thinks he can buy the election by spending $7+ trillion. And that's just, I don't think that's true. We're going to see very soon. But I can't imagine anyone taking what Trump did in his terms. I'm just talking economics now. I'm not talking personalities or what you say in speeches. I mean, Donald Trump's very flowery in his speeches and all sorts of stuff. But when you look at what he did, the lowest unemployment rates for the poor, the minorities, the Hispanics, the blacks, the undereducated, the lowest unemployment rates ever. When you talk about the economy growing very rapidly at about 3%, we all of a sudden started growing much more rapidly than the European Union did. I mean, we grew very well. And also that the tax cuts that Trump did, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, actually increased revenues. In the next 2 years, total federal revenues were higher and much higher than they had been in the prior 2 years. It was just a very sharp increase in total revenues, even though we cut the corporate tax rate dramatically. If you also look at what he did with regard to Operation Warp Speed, I mean, you remember we got hit with a pandemic in February, March of 2020. He got rid of all of the impediments there for good scientific research. He put in $1 trillion, and within a year, he had a vaccine that no one said could be done in under 6 or 7 years, given the things. He got that done. And then if you'll remember, Biden and Kamala Harris were saying they wouldn't try the vaccine, they wouldn't trust it because it was, I mean, you remember all of that stuff. It was just silly. And what you see that he did with his executive orders on medical transparency, you need to know what prices are for medical services. You need to know what the consequences of those are so you can make good choices. But all those Trump did, and it led to a very, very good economy. And I don't see why anyone would choose the continuation of Biden over Trump, to be honest, just on economics.
Well, Doctor, you said this was a pitch to buy the election with $7 trillion from Biden. Let's say that works for a second, and he does get 4 more years to implement budget proposals like this. What does that mean for the long-term health of the U.S. economy?
I think it's very bad for the health of the U.S. economy, obviously, and I could just extend the remarks I made. But, you know, let me pull you back for a second. We have a system. It's called democracy. It's called voting, even though, you know, you can buy votes with budgets and do all of that stuff, which shouldn't be done. But you can do that, and there are all sorts of other complaints about it. But it is the system we have. And people deserve the governments they get. And if people are so foolish as to choose Biden over Trump, all you can say is, God bless you, the earth you are scorching is your earth too. We should be having deregulation of energy. I mean, what Trump says, the way he says is drill, baby, drill. You know, I don't know how he says it. But we should be drilling. We should be producing energy here. We are the most efficient energy producers. If there is something like global warming going on, if there is, and I'm no climatologist or anything like that, there may be. There's easy to solve that. You have a carbon tax. You have a carbon tax and offset it with an income tax rate reduction. so it doesn't cause damage to the economy, so it tilts the nation away from carbon. But from what all I understand on this stuff, and again, remember, I'm not a climatologist, I'm not a petroleum economist either, but what all of it says is we have cleaned up the production and the use of oil such that the emissions are minor compared to what they used to be. We have very, very clean usage of oil here in the United States and hydrocarbons, and they give us very little residue back into the system. So if you're going to do that, just use a carbon tax. Don't do all this squirrely stuff and spend all this money on Solyndras and other companies that go under. These people don't know how to run businesses. You do. You and I do. They don't. And we should put the power back into the hands of the people whose money it is and just give them the tax on carbon and let it go. But Trump did such a great job on this. And frankly, I'm just disappointed. But if the voters go with Biden, that's their problem. It's not mine.
Dr. Arthur Laffer, thank you so much for joining us here on One American News, sir. We appreciate your analysis and insight. As always, thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.